Your calling, your location, and your faithfulness there, all combined to make a threefold cord that is not easily broken. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute Torah, day 4 of V'zot haBracha. We are in Deuteronomy chapter 33. Let's go down to verse 13. And of Joseph he said, Blessed of Yahweh is his land, with the choicest from the heavens, with the dew and with the deep lying beneath, with the choice fruits of the sun, with the choice yield of the months, with the finest of the ancient mountains, with the choicest of the everlasting hills, with the choicest of the earth and all that fills it, and the good pleasure of him who dwelt in the bush. Let it come upon the head of Joseph and on the crown of him who was separate from his brothers. His splendor is like the firstborn bull, and his horns are like the horn of the wild ox. With him he pushes the people to the ends of the earth, and they are the 10,000s of Ephraim and the thousands of Manasseh. Wow, it seems as if Joseph gets the best of everything. Choicest, finest. The favor of Yah sitting like a crown on his head. Let's remember that Yaakov had designated him to receive the Bekorah, that is the double portion blessing. He is the favored son. He is the oldest son of Yaakov's primary bride, Rachel, and he is the heir designate. It does seem that Yehuda takes the crown, that is the rulership. And so the authority in the family and the headship of the family seem to be split between the two. So as we look at Joseph, we recognize then that he was the one who led his family through a time of famine and basically saved Israel. If it had not been for Joseph doing what he did faithfully while in captivity, unknown to anyone around him as to really who he was, he found himself suddenly exalted and catapulted, literally, to a supreme position to save not only the world, but especially his family. His blessings are strongly centered in agriculture. He excels in produce. He excels in military strength. He is effective in ruling and running over, in a manner of speaking, the nations. It sounds a lot like modern-day America in some sense, and there is a lot to be said that much of Ephraim and Manasseh are located here, not exclusively, by no means. These peoples are scattered the world over, but it can be debated strongly that especially Ephraim seems to be located somewhat here in the United States. And perhaps, in my estimation at least, this nation was not so much founded just to be the shrines of democracy, according to what people think and feel, but rather to be a place of exile for especially the tribes of Ephraim. Have a place to go until Yah is ready to situate us to bring us home. Joseph then needs to know his location, his calling, and be faithful in it. I want to speak more about that here in just a moment, but let's look at the other tribes today, if we have enough time. Zebulun and Issachar are blessed together because they operate as a team. Zebulun is going to be a seafaring nation who will trade with other nations and bring vast goods of a great variety back to Israel. In doing so, they're going to become very wealthy. Issachar is given to times and seasons and understanding the movement of the heavens. They are a very scientific group of people. They dwell in tents. They are studious. It would seem then that Zebulun benefits from learning about the heavens and navigation from it from Issachar, while Issachar is funded by Zebulun in return for their continuous study. And then we look at Gad, who is blessed to be very strong in his military conquest and strength and ability to fight like a lion. having great leadership and the ability to choose effectively. Dan is a judicious tribe, blessed to not only capture his land and conquer the land, which he never really did, but to stand guard like a lion. Originally, Dan was assigned territory down next to modern-day Gaza, where the Philistines would have been at. He was to drive them out, and he was overwhelmed and failed to do so. So he packed up and moved to the north and found himself another place to be. Naphtali is blessed not only to capture his land, but to become very satiated and satisfied in the ability that he is in the very fertile Upper Galilee area above the Galilee. And it's a beautiful land. Our first trip to Israel, we took a tour up on the Golan Heights, and riding out there on the bus, I just realized this land is speaking to me. It seems as if my DNA's been here before, and at that time, that was far more than what my mind or spirit could handle. But I felt that ground calling to me. I must have left my heart out there somewhere among those many stones and rocks out on those grounds. And then Asher is to be the guard of the northern border, acting like an iron lock against all the invaders there. And we need Asher to stand up in these days, to come back home and to be fruitful in its olive oil production, digging iron and copper, and being that iron wall against Hezbollah and those that are stationed in Syria and Lebanon, the rockets from Iran. Oh yeah, we need these people back in their place to do what it is that they need to do. Now, it would seem as if these tribes are blessed in a random order, but if you look at them a little more closely, they are blessed according to the territorial places of conquest, going from the south all the way up to the north. And so Yah is blessing them prophetically and calling to them as they would conquer the land. Knowing your calling is highly important. And there are many who say, well, I don't know that I really have a specific calling. Sometimes people are just basically called to do whatever their hands find to do. You may not be a public speaker. You may not be an organizer. You may not have any specific skills and calling that you can discern. So you look around, you see what needs to be done, and you just do it. Well, that's a gift of helps there. And it's a vital gift. We need a lot more of that. But knowing your calling is vitally important, because then you know where to be faithful. If I know what I'm supposed to be doing, then I know that I need to develop the disciplines to get the job done. If one is going to be a tradesman and he's going to learn a particular skill of plumbing or electricity or heating and air, then you go into some sense of training to prepare yourself so that when you show up on the job, you know what you're doing. That is, if you want to keep that job. So the same thing in our calling. If we are called to do something specifically, let's train ourselves, study and show ourselves approved, put our hands to it. On-the-job training is very, very good training. In trial and error, we learn from our mistakes. We learn the best ways to do things. But then we come down to the third chord, or the third strand of this chord, location. Why are you where you are? How did you get there? Some of us live where we were born and raised. Others, we have migrated from one place to the other, and sometimes we have had many stops along the way. But Yah puts us where we're needed. These tribes, He situated them according to their calling, and then He gifted them according to their location. Very important to see how Yah does this. He put you where you are and called you as He has to use you as He will. Be faithful. Show yourself approved. and let's let Yah use us as He will. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.